Hey guys, it's Chris. It's my Sunday night show, Sunday Night Live, Q&A with Chris. Looking forward to sharing with you guys and helping you with your tennis questions tonight. I'm hanging out with my buddy Sammy. Sammy, get in here. Say hello. Say hello, Sam boy. I don't know if you get Sammy in here. Sammy, you're on the show. It's me and you. This is my boy. He is an American hairless terrier. Sammy, you're on the program. It's live. What do you have to say? All right. Well, Sammy didn't have a lot to say, but he is famous at our tennis academy in Vermont. He hangs out with all the kids. Sammy, you were live. You're on the big show. I see I've got some friends tuning in. Guys, if you have any tennis questions, let me know. Been teaching a lot of technique this week. I worked on my first digital course this week. We did all the filming for my first digital course, so I'm really excited about that. I'll try to share some of my thoughts on that with you guys. Sammy, you going to bed? You're back? Oh, Sam boy, you're the best. All right, you go to sleep now. I gotta do my show. Yeah, I gotta do my show. All right. It's me, it's Sammy, it's people from around the world. Let's see who's online today. Let's see who we got here. Yeah, Jim Kane's on with Sammy. Nice. Okay. It's Sunday night with a lot of friends. Nicholas Wagner is watching. What's up, Nick? Thanks for waving. Dale Troy is watching. Hey, Dale. Thanks for watching. Thanks for waving. Henry So is watching. Very cool. Thank you guys for the waves, for the shout-outs. Mike McQuirk is watching. Is that the Mike that I know? Erica's Mike? Family friend. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for watching. Who else we got? Guy Moore is watching. Thanks, Guy. Thanks for tuning in. I think you might be a new viewer on the show. Spencer's watching. Spencer Weinberg, thanks for waving. Sai Nath is watching. Thanks for waving. Gotta turn this heat off. It's too hot in here. Guys, this is my Sunday night program. If you have any questions about tennis or about technique or about life, I can try to answer your life questions, but I'm much better at tennis questions. We have a great community on Sunday night. We have people from around the world who are watching and sharing tennis questions and ideas, so feel free to throw them at me. Let me know what you got. I've been working on my video course, my first video course, which is called Flow Like Federer. So I'm very excited about that. We got Flow Like Federer coming out, and it's a footwork course. And what I'm trying to do with my digital school is I want to create a rich tapestry of digital courses that people can enjoy, learn from, and create a whole community of, I call it a high IQ tennis community. But we're starting with the Flow Like Federer course. I know my friend Jim Kane wants the Rip It Like Rafa course. That's the next course I think we're going to work on. That is a forehand course. So working on the modern Spanish style forehand. That's coming out soon. And the goal is to have 15, 20 or more courses for people to choose from. Kind of like when you log into an online college site where you can have a catalog, like a course catalog of courses that you can take. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's innovative. I don't know anyone who's doing it quite like that. I know there are a lot of online courses, but the quality is dubious. They are of dubious quality, and they are mostly geared towards recreational players, adults who are like club players, and that's not my niche. My niche is juniors and high performance. So my site is geared towards high performance training of juniors. All the videos feature juniors, and Also parents. I have courses coming out for parents of juniors. And coaches. I work a lot with coaches, and I like to mentor coaches and help coaches with their development. So that's what the site's all about. I think the courses will also be appealing to serious adults, more competitive adults who play tournaments. I think that's also a niche that's a subset of players who I've worked with in the past too. So let's see who's on the program tonight. Guys, I'm waiting for my first tennis question. Will Bull is watching. Thanks for waving. Will? Wandre Cavalcanti. Wandre. That's a great name. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Igor is watching. I think Igor is a regular on the program. Thanks, Igor. Let me know if you have any tennis questions. I'll be happy to answer. Pablo Bramule is watching. Hey, buddy. That's a great picture of you and your kid there. Samir Nawar is watching. Thanks for waving. Appreciate it. Michael Furman is watching. Michael doing a great job. Michael's helping me with all the digital filming and the business side of running this online school, which is quite extensive. So I appreciate that, Michael, very much. Charles Crowley is watching. Thanks for waving. Guys, this is my Sunday night show, and I talk a little tennis and wrap up the week of teaching, thoughts that I have from being on the court. And I answer tennis questions from folks around the world. So let me know if you have any questions about technique or tactics or junior development or the state of the game of tennis. And I'll do my best to answer. Let's see if anyone else is on the line. Maybe it's going to be a light night. Is everyone heading in early tonight? It's not the holidays yet, is it? People are not gone for the holidays yet, are they? Well, it could be a sleepy night. That means I get to go to bed a little bit early. Guys, if you have any tennis questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer. We're talking about my online courses coming up. If you go to clta.teachable.com, that's the website currently, clta.teachable.com. And we're going to have a lot of really good, intelligently constructed courses there for parents, players, and coaches. And the main focus is junior development with juniors. So we had some really cool kids, students of mine. They came up and they filmed at the club in Vermont. Nice kids. I had 3 students, and we did all the filming with them. So I think the videos came out really well. So now we have to do some editing, and I have to piece together the course, make sure it's a high quality, and it's looking really good. And then it'll be available for purchase. And that's the thing. I don't know what the price is thing. We're trying to price it around $100. And I think that's really cheap for the quality of the material. And also that you have access to me. You have email access to me. I answer all my emails personally, and I want to make that part of the school. So I'm trying to figure a way to do that economically so that people can get access to my teaching system at a low cost, because my private lessons are quite expensive, and it's just not realistic for most people to take a lot of lessons with me here in New York, even just to travel and get here, or in Vermont. So the next best thing is to get this material out online at a low price. I want it to be a price that people can afford, that doesn't blow the budget. And I want people to get access to me. So that's what I'm after. I want to create a community where you have access to the master coach, to the professor, like as if I'm the professor and you were taking a course with me in college, and you have a way to ask questions about the course material via email. So that's what I would like. I'd like to set that up, but my business manager Michael was saying, well, that could be really difficult. What if you get overwhelmed with emails? And I'm willing to take on that challenge as of now, unless I get completely swamped. I like to answer emails. I answer emails relatively quickly, and I take a lot of video questions via email. So I'm hoping that it works well, and I'm hoping that people feel that they can take a digital course and still be able to communicate and and ask me questions, and that way I can help more specifically and in more detail, rather than sometimes you take an online course and you're just sort of left to drift alone, and there's not a lot of support, and most of the support is very general. It's not specific to your situation and your technical situation or tactical situation. So I'm very interested in trying to set up the school where the people who are taking classes there feel that they have access to me as their professor. And so I'm exploring how to do that at a low cost. I thought about offering like a very expensive package for time with me, and I didn't want to do it that way. I want to make the school low cost and accessible to a lot of people around the world. So that's what's going on with the school at teachable.com, clta.teachable.com. And we work off the Teachable platform, which is a really good platform. It's a very well-known brand for online learning management systems. Let's see what we got here. We got a first question of the night from my buddy Jim Kane, who's a big supporter of the program and big supporter of my work. He says, as a veteran player, coach, and fan, I have seen my share of cheating and squeezing calls. How soon will technology be the solution in juniors and recreational play? Coming on the scene, maybe smart tennis watch, etc., etc. Can't wait. One call can sometimes determine the winner. Yeah, I've written a lot about this, Jim. Been having a lot of debates about this in Facebook groups, and I believe that the technology solution will be coming in the next decade or two. It's already here with PlaySite and the Smart Court initiative. They call it it's the Play Fair initiative. Sorry. And it's promoted by a company called PlaySite. It's an Israeli company. So I would check that out. PlaySite. It's PLAYSIGHT. PlaySite. And they're doing some tremendous stuff with their new initiative called Play Fair. So check that out. The Play Fair initiative is all about setting up tournaments on the smart courts where the players can have a review, a digital review, a video review. It's fantastic technology. We just got to get the price down. I think it's going to take some time because the smart courts are so expensive. I really want to get 2 smart courts for my club right now, and I'm waiting for the cost to get a little better. Maybe I have to work out a deal with the company. Maybe they can work out a sponsorship for me or something like that. I'm putting that out there now. I need that. I really want to get my club set up, and I'll be happy to promote the technology because it's amazing. But more to the point of one of the points of your question, Jim, is that people say that one call sometimes doesn't make a difference in a match. I think that's a bunch of BS. And most of the time, I don't know if most of the time, but many times, one call can be a huge factor, especially if it's at a critical moment. Like, let's take a match point. You can't get a match point back, or a set point, or a very important swing moment in a match, and cheating can completely ruin that type of situation. So I hope that helped answer your question. There's also some other competing technologies, line calling technologies. I forget the name. There's a company in France that has their own technological system that's competing with, to a certain extent, with PlaySite. So there's a number of options potentially on the horizon, and hopefully that'll help bring the cost down with competition. But I'm really looking forward to the game of tennis with no more cheating. Cheating is ruining the game at many levels, junior level, college level, etc. And apparently for you at the club level too. I never even thought of that. I don't work with a lot of recreational players. I don't work with a lot of club players. And yeah, there's a lot of cheating on the club circuit, in the USDA leagues and things like that. It'd be nice to see that eliminated as well. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. My friend Zoe is watching. Zoe, thank you so much for supporting the program. Juan Daniel Castillo Fajardo. Thank you for waving. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Gerardo Alvarez is watching. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for tuning into the program. We're trying to build a great community of high IQ tennis learners, and we try to share tennis knowledge every Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. And I do my best to lead the discussion and answer as many tennis questions as I can before I get too sleepy. And tonight I'm hanging out with my buddy Sammy. Sammy's on the program. Sammy, get in here. Sam boy. Sammy. Wait. There he is. But the camera's here. Hey. I'm giving Sammy a tummy rub right now. Yeah. Sammy, why haven't I put you on the program before? You're a superstar. If I put you on the program, we're going to get a lot more views. That's what I think. Okay, let's get back to the questions. Let's see what we got here. All right, Michael Furman says, how do you keep 14 to 17-year-olds focused and motivated? I see talented kids on the soccer field, baseball fields, tennis courts, not always engaged. Are you referring to my student today, Michael, who you saw? Well, I think with those high school kids, let's take the case today, for example, with one of Michael's referring to one of my students who are struggling today. He's a high school kid, and the deal is it's holiday time, and I don't want to make excuses, but I guess it's going to sound like that. The kids are a little bit, they've lost a little motivation during this time of the year, and they're all going to come back strong in January and February because they're all getting pumped up for their season. So with high school kids, that's a big factor, what time of the year it is. A lot of kids are going into vacation right now, so they know they're not going to be playing as much, so there may not be a big tournament on the horizon. This is for high school players, you know, not top national players. The national players will play tournaments during the holidays, but for most high school kids who are lower ranked sectional players, or they're just play for their high school team, they're going to gear it up in January, February. So that's sort the timing of the year is a big factor for them. And the point today that I made with my student is when you take a lot of time off, it just destroys your momentum. I have a saying that I like to keep the days off 50 or less. It's called my 50 plus or minus 50 rule. I try to keep the days off per year around 50 days plus or minus, more or less. And I think players would be shocked if they counted up the number of days they took off. It's for many players, when I have these talks with parents and families and players, they calculate they're over 100, easily over 100 days off per year, which I think is a lot, and it's very difficult to maintain momentum and to build to really develop when you're taking that many days off. So that's part of it too. The kids have to keep a rhythm and keep playing to stay sharp and to keep their motivation up. All right, let's see. We got a new question on the board. Mark Frampton is watching. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for waving. Paybo is watching. Hey, guys, let me know where you're watching from. I really appreciate my international audience. So if you're from overseas, outside the U.S., let me know. Give me a shout out. I appreciate that. I love sharing ideas with my international viewers and supporters. And I have a lot of those folks who email me. They send me clips, and we communicate over email. Chris@chrislewitt.com. If you have an email question or if you have a video file that you want me to review, I review a lot of kids' videos through email. I have a lot of parents who email me with their player videos, and I actually enjoy that. It's edifying for me, and I try to be helpful to the parents when they have technical questions or tactical questions with their players. Let's see. Mike Riggs is watching. Thanks for waving. Salifu Muhammad is watching. Salifu, getting in on the Sunday night program. I appreciate it, buddy. P.T. Banti Vashisht is watching. What a great name. Probably pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, buddy. My buddy Jeremy's back on the program. Big supporter of the show. Jeremy, how are you? Let's see. He says, hey, Chris, what is something of technical importance about the forehand that many people don't know? Okay, well, the forehand. Well, I like to teach the modern forehand. So that is sort of the ATP style forehand. Sometimes it's called the Millennium forehand. I would say it's a parabolic shape. The swing path is parabolic. And you still see a lot of people trying to do the swing path in a linear fashion. It's a great technical question, Jeremy, but the swing path is circular and parabolic, more or less. It's like a hook in boxing. It's not a straight punch. It's a hook. And you got to try to get the swing path circular like that, or parabolic. And that's actually really hard to do. It seems more intuitive for people that swing on a straight line, and that's the traditional style, the swings on a straight line, a straight path out towards your target, but it's a curve line. And the way that I like to help players generate that swing path is by encouraging them to jump and use their open stance and let their hip rotate, let their trunk rotate, and that seems to, in my view, in my experience, it really helps to develop that curved swing path. And that's sort of the secret of my method, the Lewitt Method. I'm calling it the Lewitt Method, the technical method at least. And so that's sort of what I do. If you see a lot of my videos on YouTube, I'm trying to get that parabolic shape of the forehand. And it's really tricky. It's hard to get. One of the problems I have with red, orange, green, and a lot of the ways that kids are being taught at the local clubs that I see, at least here in New York, is that the kids are taught very linear swing paths, and they're taught to follow through over the shoulder and stuff like that, and I just think it's very outdated. I want a parabolic swing, I want an elastic arm, and I like nice windshield wiper movement of the arm and a lower finish, a lower follow through. You finish up, but you follow through lower. So hope that helps. That's something on my mind. Let me see if there's anything else. Anything else about the forehand that comes to mind? Let's see. I think there's a follow-up question. It looks like something about jump. Yes, I said jump. I've been saying jump for so many years now, and I'm tired of jump being a dirty word. Let's see what's the follow-up here. Jason Byam is watching. What's up, Jason? We got some regulars on the program here. Thanks for supporting the show. Alejandro Mauricio is watching. Alejandro Mauricio Fuentes. Great name. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I love to get new viewers on the show. I love to get international viewers on the show. I love to get questions about kids. My number one passion in life is helping kids improve their character, improve their technique, improve their tennis games, their tactics, everything, to help them accomplish their dreams. I think that's why I was put on the earth, to help children. I don't know how it turned out that way. I just love kids. I love working with them, love connecting with them, especially young children under 10 and under 12. But all children. Children are, I think, my life's work. Okay, Jeremy says, jump, are you crazy? Yeah, exactly. Have you followed any of the groups on Facebook where I've been discussing this jump, and then a lot of the big names in red, orange, green, like from England, who was there? A few big names in red, orange, green chimed in, and they said, no, you have to, they gave some biomechanical reason why you cannot teach a young kid to jump. I think it's crazy. I have kids jumping all the time. It's controlled jumping because I'm trying to get the kids to spin their hips. Yeah, I know you're kidding, Jeremy. I know. But seriously, people take offense. It's a dirty word. It's a taboo subject to teach jumping with technique, jumping on the ground strokes, jumping on the serve. And I think it's so useful. It's good for developing balance, good for developing stability when you land, and it's good for developing that parabolic swing shape. I really big believer in that. It's been very effective in my teaching to teach kids to jump, but in a very controlled way and with a specific focus. There has to be a purpose, and there has to be parameters around the jump, good guidelines. It can't be wild jumping, you know, out of control jumping. So, yeah, okay, we have some, great, we're getting a nice conversation going. I guess everyone got their kids to bed and now they're tuning into the show. All right, we have some energy on the show. I thought I might get to go to bed early, but it looks like things are kicking up. We've got my buddy Ben Sterner, the great Ben Sterner, an innovator, an out-of-the-box thinker. He's got a question maybe about his kids' game. Let's see. Ben says, what are the steps for 4 to 5 advanced player in order for playing? Ben, I can't even read that. Is that a sentence? When do they develop a serve? Are you saying when should you teach the serve to an advanced 4 or 5-year-old? Can you clarify? Serving for a 4 or 5-year-old, that's a tough one. They're just not that strong in the shoulder. I much prefer to work on footwork and ground strokes for those little guys, the little tigers. The serving, you know what you can do for serving is, man, go out and play some catch. Throw a ball. Throw a football, little mini football. Play catch like with a mitt and a ball. Go out and play catch. Kids love to do that with their mom or dad. And I think that's really one of the best things you can do for a young kid vis-a-vis serving. And yeah, get out there and toss it up and hit some of those foam balls or the red balls. But it's not going to be great technique at 4 or 5. It's pretty basic. Maybe you could work on some. I like to work on jumping. All right, I'm going to go back to jumping. I think little kids love to jump. It's a playground skill, and you can teach them to sort of learn to load their legs and get their legs involved in the serve action. You want to get the little guys to extend well, in other words, to reach up, not to be smushed when they hit the serve, to extend their arm and get really tall. Like Rick Macy says, you high-five a giant. I think those are the basics. I wouldn't worry about the grip at that age. Let them use a forehand grip. It's fine. I like to develop the trophy at that age. I like to teach them pretty advanced. So I don't like to start the kids with the racket on their back. I like to see a nice power position. But primarily I think throwing a lot. Throwing a ball, throwing a football is really beneficial. And one of the keys to developing a huge serve later down the road is having your kid throw a lot of balls. Just any kind of ball. Really important piece of advice in my opinion. And yeah, get out there and whack the serve. Just don't overdo it. The kids are developing. Their shoulders are still not very strong and things like that. Let me know if you have a follow-up, Ben. I'll try my best to answer. Jason Byam has a question. And I'm sorry, guys. The questions are coming in a little faster now, and I will do my best to answer more succinctly. Let's see. Jason Byam says, what percentage of forehands are hit in an open stance or semi-open stance as opposed to a neutral or closed? Okay, sometimes for the sake of simplicity, I just call the stances open and closed, especially when I work with young kids. I don't break it down into semi-open too much or neutral or closed. So that's just a caveat when I'm talking about the stances, open and closed. But typically when I say open, I mean semi-open. And I teach it semi-open. I think it's probably a little better for the hip. I try to minimize the stress and the load on the hip. And I think the open stance, the research shows that the extreme open stance puts more load on the hip. And I just think that's something you should try to avoid when you're teaching technique. You don't want to overload the hip. So I prefer semi-open, and with little kids I like to do about 50-50, so they're developing a balance. If you see lots of my videos on YouTube, I have a lot of open stance, and when I say open, I mean primarily semi-open. I teach a lot of that stance for the reasons I mentioned before, because I'm trying to develop the parabolic swing and elasticity. But I also like to see the coordination in the feet. Kids taking a close. For me, a close is a little more neutral stance. Closed or neutral, I like to see that about 50% of the time, and semi-open and open 50% of the time. I think that's the best way to go about it with young children. I know a lot of coaches have strong opinions about that. I don't think you should teach exclusively closed to young kids. I think that's a mistake, and it promotes a linear swing path. The open stance and semi-open stance with explosion and rotation can help develop the parabolic swing in a young player, and I think that is paramount to develop a parabolic swing. I would like to see all little kids taught parabolic swing shapes, circular swing shapes, not linear style swing paths. So I don't know if that helps. Send me a follow-up if you have it, Jason. I have a few more questions on the board I'm going to try to get to. At the pro level, at the high level with national ranked kids and ITF level kids, it's a mix. I like to see the kids stepping in when the ball is in front of them and they can take time, take position better by moving forward. And if they're stretched out wide, I definitely want to see the open stance for emergencies and defense. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any follow-up. I will do my best to answer. Chandresh Kumar is watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your support of the program. My buddy Dan Pankraz from Australia. We've been exchanging a bunch of emails. I'm trying to help Dan with his daughter's game. Dan, let me know if you have a question. Post it up on the board, and I will try to answer it as best I can, and we'll share it with the community here. My buddy Pablo Numbella says, "Hi, Chris. Have you ever visited and seen the tennis programs in South America? South America has adopted a very similar system to the Spanish system, but I wanted to know your opinion. As we know, there was, for a little bit of time, Argentina was producing many top players. I think Argentina still does a very good job, Pablo. I haven't personally made study trips to South America, but I have some coaching friends there, and I've been able to pick their brain a little bit about the system there. And I have a few friends who played on the pro circuit from Argentina, and it sounds to me like the systems are very similar. Spain and Argentina, very similar. They're both clay court countries, and they have many of the same priorities, let's say. So I think the methodologies are quite similar, and you see players going to South America and Argentina to train on clay and learn the clay style, just like you see players gravitating towards Spain in Europe. A lot of the European players will go to Spain because the weather's so nice, and they have clay courts, and they teach the clay court game. And I think players also seek out Argentina. Who is the pro who went to Argentina to develop his game? The American from Rhode Island. His name's on the tip of my tongue. You guys remember? I've been talking about him recently. It'll come to me in a moment. Top 100 player from Rhode Island. Gosh, must be getting late. His name slips my mind at the moment, but for example, that's a great story. The young American from Rhode Island who went to train a couple of years in Argentina, and it's an example of an American player seeking out clay court training and learning the clay court game. All right, let me maybe if someone remembers that player's name, please let me know. It's Jared Donaldson. It came to me. See, it's not too late. My mind is still alive. Jared Donaldson, and he spent a couple of years in Argentina. Pablo, that's exactly what he did. It's a tremendous story, and now he's top 50. He made top 50, I believe, at top 100. He's amazing. Really good story. Okay, let's see what we got here. Hai Nguyen is watching. Thank you, Hai. Hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I messed up the pronunciations, guys. Dan says, "Hey, Chris, wondering if you could explain an inverted follow-through that you mentioned in your message." Yes, Dan, the inverted follow-through is when the racket... Ooh, do I need to get my racket? Ooh, should I try it? Get my racket. I have a racket question, technical question. All right, I'm going, guys. Going to get my son's racket. All right, here we go. I've got my son's Babolat stick here. All right, let me see if I can set this up. I haven't got my tripod yet. I'm still having trouble with the tripod. All right, so inverted finish, see if you can see this, is at the end of the swing, the racket is hanging downward, the racket is drifting downward, and it's below the hand and the elbow. So this configuration like this at the end, boom, boom, bam, like that. Instead of, this is the opposite, where the racket is sort of up high, and it creates a very stiff arm. My arm is very tight right now, holding the racket up. So what I'm teaching little kids, I want them to make a parabolic swing, and then at the end, after they lift and extend, I want to see a nice relaxed forearm, and throughout the arm, the upper arm, but particularly this forearm here, elbow and wrist, so that the weight of the racket hangs down, the racket dangles, and the racket drifts. And this is what I call the inversion, where the tip of the racket is below the hand and below the elbow. Hope that helps. Yeah, I got the demo with my racket today. I'm pumped. It's the first time on the program I got the racket and I demoed the technique. This is a very exciting moment. This is a seminal moment on the Chris Lewitt Sunday night Q&A program. Okay, let me know any follow-ups, Dan. Does that make sense with the inversion? So the way they're teaching your daughter in Australia there, Dan's from Australia, the way they're teaching your daughter is, it's great for 1975, but why not just teach it the way all the pros are doing it? You know, as much as you can. Teach the little kids as close as you can to the pros. Obviously, with some limitations because they're little kids, but you can approximate most of the swing paths that you see and most of the technical elements that you see on tour. You can get that at a young age, and then you save yourself a lot of development time because you don't have to teach the technique again when the kids are like 10 or 11 or 12 or they're teenagers or whatever. You teach it one time and you're saving yourself a lot of time in terms of development. And I think great coaches save time along the arc of development. You know, if I can teach a kid world-class technique in 6 years, but another coach takes them 8 years to teach world-class technique, I think I'm a better coach because I can get it done more efficiently. And what I want is to try to teach technique as efficiently as possible. So I hope that makes sense. My buddy Ben is on the program tonight. Ben, you had a great idea to get this show on cracked rackets, simulcast, get a simulcast going on cracked rackets or on tennis.com. That was a great idea. I want to do that. I guess I got to improve my technological prowess here and get a little better studio set up because we're bootstrapping this right now. But we're doing it. We're doing all the videos on YouTube, and we're doing shows every week. So, I mean, we're bootstrapping it, but this is the way you do it. You've got to get started. We have to get all of this knowledge out there and then slowly build up some steam and build up a community of high IQ learners and build up support and a following. And then I would love to do that. I want to do that. Okay, to answer your question, what I'm saying is, what are the steps in order of progressing for a little kid, 4 to 5, when learning the serve? I like to start with the jump, which is, I guess, controversial. It's kind of silly. Little kids can jump, but I actually like to start them out working on the legs and the base. I think jumping is a very simple athletic skill. It's a playground skill that all little kids can do. And so I like to teach a good jump on the serve and a stable landing, which is, I know, it's out of the box. It's a creative approach to teaching young kids how to serve. That's what I like to do. I can tell you that most traditional coaches will teach kids a grounded serve, a serve where the kids never leave the ground. They just work on their balance from a stable, stationary base. I don't like that. I like a nice dynamic serve using the legs, jumping up into the ball. And then I think it's really important to develop the power position, the L shape. I call it the L shape. If you see on my videos on YouTube, we're getting a nice collection of videos now of my work. So it's really cool. I can talk about my system and then I can send people to YouTube to actually watch me teaching what I talked about on court with my players. It's really cool to have that body of work online now for free for people to reference. I'm really enjoying that dynamic. Anyway, I like to get the kids extending, learning how to toss and reach up and extend. Tossing is important too, getting them coordinated with their rhythm of the arms. I don't know if that's helpful, Ben, but I would get your little guys jumping up, landing with balance, and, you know, at that age, 4 or 5, the most important thing is taking 20 or 30 swings and then going out and throwing the ball with dad, doing a lot of throws back and forth with the ball. The serving is to me not the most important priority at that age. Getting the ground strokes and the footwork and building a great athlete with agility, the ABCs, agility, balance, coordination, and speed. That's what I think is really important at 4 and 5 years old. The eyes, the ground stroke technique, serve technique. You get what I said, throwing and jumping, and some subtle technique when they're that age, but 6 or 7, 7 or 8, you can really start to get world-class technique at that. When they start hitting 7 or 8 and their shoulders get a little stronger, you can really build, basically it looks like a pro serve in a little 7 or 8-year-old. You can get it. I have done that dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Sometimes people flame me. They say, prove it, or how many students they have. I don't have video evidence of all the play. I can just tell you, I'm not lying. I've developed many world-class looking serves at 7, 8. Looks just like a little pro. You know, you can do it. You just have to be ambitious. You can do it. Maybe you have to have talented athletes. I don't know. Maybe I have the group that I tend to work with is a little better athletes than on average, but you can definitely do it. In my opinion, most coaches teach without enough ambition. They don't push the kids. They settle for mediocre technique when they could ask for so much more. They could demand so much more of their athlete. Anyway, okay, we have some follow-up. Mark Lewis is watching. It's very close to Chris Lewitt. Lewis, I like that name. Ben Sterner says, yes, we did that exact same thing today, throwing about 30 balls, having fun. Yeah, I think throwing with your little guys is the most important thing in the world. Throwing a football, throwing a baseball, throwing whatever they want to throw. Get them doing that overhead movement, strengthening the shoulder, and you're building a base for a world-class serve down the road. And then when they hit 6 or 7 or 8, you can really start to dig into the technique, and they're a little more mature at that age, and they can understand the details that you're asking, the detailed instruction. So if you bring me those little boys at 6 or 7 or 8, and they've been throwing a lot at 4 and 5, that's fantastic for me. That's really good for me in terms of building their serves. Okay, what else do we got on the board? Guys, turning into a nice program. I was a little sleepy there in the early going, and then everyone just jumped online. This is great. Okay, what do we got here? Typhon Guillerman is waving. Thank you for waving. Thank you for watching the show. Erwin Bebe Montalvo is watching. Thank you for waving. Okay, what else we got here? Jerry Fiquete is watching. Jerry's a big supporter of the show. Thank you, Jerry. Is it Fiquete or Fiquete? Fiquete or Fiquete? Thank you so much for tuning in. I know you're a big supporter. I appreciate it. Yeah, Michael Furman said Gerald Donaldson. Gerald Donaldson is the American professional player. Reached about 50 in the world. Great story. Never really used the USTA. Got a very smart dad. Great coach in Rhode Island. To have a top 50 player coming out of Rhode Island, guys, this is amazing. That's a tiny little state. And they did it with Mariano Amazing. That's his coach, Mario. Great coach from New England. And he helped develop a top 50 player from Rhode Island. This is incredible. You don't hear too many stories about it. It's amazing. Santosh Moria. Thank you so much for waving. Sorry if I messed up your name. I'm trying to get the pronunciations better. Danish Warsi is watching. Thanks for the shout out. Kaoru Kaido is watching. Thanks for the wave. I appreciate it. Let's see what we got. We got some more questions on the board. I feel like I'm behind on the questions. I'm very sorry, guys. Okay. Jeremy says, is it a follow-up? I find beginners will have bad extension when I have them do the inverted finish, causing the player to have less power and depth. Okay, I'm going to the racket. Second time on the program, Chris Lewitt going to the racket. I don't have my tripod, but I have my trusty Advent candles. I'm propped up against the Advent candles here. Okay, guys. Jeremy, you got to extend and lift. Get the kids to extend all the way out, lift up, and then you can wiper that thing. But they have to extend first, and I call that the finish. That's the finish. And then they can, I just hit my bookshelf. Then they can come around and do the wiper and the inverted finish. I like to, sometimes I call it the follow through. So sometimes semantically, I'll call the first part the finish, and then the second part where they end the swing, the ending, the follow through. You know, it's just a semantical definition, or delineation, but that's the way I like to describe it. And that's what my mentor in Spain, Luis Bruguera, he calls this part, when you extend through the impact, he calls that the finish. That's the finish. So the finish is before the follow through. And then the follow through comes later with the inversion. So, does that make sense, Jeremy? If you teach the finish and you have kids focus more on that, then the follow through you can get the inversion, and then you'll never have that premature wrap where the players just flick across and they don't get the extension. And I wish they would teach that in red and orange. I wish they would change the curriculum. They could do the way that I'm teaching it in red and orange, and we would have so many better players coming out at like 10 and 11. They would be so much better technically. It would save so much development time. Right now, I'm making a fortune in my business cleaning up the mess that's coming out of red, orange, green. I'm personally making a killing because all those parents are bringing their kids to me and they want world-class modern technique, and that's what I do. And none of them are getting that in red, orange, green. So it's great for my business, but in terms of helping humanity, tennis world, kids out there, I wish they would just change that curriculum so I don't see all these kids coming out of the system at 10 or 11 and I gotta fix everything. It's bad for the kids because ultimately it's their dream, and if it takes longer to chase that dream to become a world-class player, I don't think that's ideal. You know, we want to get from A to B. We want to get to the world-class standard as quickly as possible. It is a race to a certain extent. Some people call it a marathon, but I want to finish that race as soon as I can. I don't want to waste a lot of time in development. Efficiency. So maybe this is off on a tangent here, but guys, I hear a lot of coaches make excuses for their poor technical development by saying that, hey, it's a marathon. We're going to take our time here. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit, because you have coaches who are not teaching good technique. They're not teaching technique efficiently. And then they'll come back to you and say, oh yeah, but remember, we're not trying, this is not a rush. You know, we're not in a rush here. It's not a sprint. Don't worry. We'll address that in a few years. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, but it's a huge time waster. I don't like to waste time. Maybe because I grew up in New York City or something. and I'm a city boy, but I don't like to waste time, and I definitely don't like to waste my clients' money. People pay me a lot of money because I can get the job done faster with my technical system. I know that's why. Otherwise, why am I getting paid? Why am I getting paid? You go to anyone and learn the basics, and you're not going to make as fast progress. The reason why you make a premium as a coach, if you can get more results in less time, that's how you get paid more on the tennis court. All right, sorry for that tangent there. Maybe I got off track. All right, Robert Garrett is watching. My buddy from, are you in Kentucky, Robert? Or Tennessee? Southern? Very intelligent, technical coach and dad of future champion. All right, Jerry has a question. Yeah. Jerry says, can you elaborate more on coaches, academies that define themselves as teaching a system? Is there really such a thing called a system? Yeah, of course. There are many systems, but some people don't like the term system because it sort of sounds too structured. Many coaches believe that academies build their systems around a player's ingenuity. So, for example, Bollettieri designed his system, his approach, his methodology around Agassi and Jimmy Arias and their technique. And you see that in Spain with Bruguera, where the Bruguera system was built around Sergi's game. So a lot of people believe that the system sort of follows the player. And some people don't like the term system. But, I mean, what term do you want to use? It's a method. You have an approach, a methodology. To me, the term is useful. Sometimes I talk about the Spanish system, but I'm careful to say that the Spanish system is not monolithic. There are many commonalities in Spain, but for example, there are coaches all across the country that teach a different style. They might have a slightly different approach. So I know some coaches don't like the term system, but for lack of a better word and to make the concept simple and to make it easier to discuss, I use the word system from time to time. I like the word methodology. I like the word approach. And I think that academies definitely have a style of training. They have a system that they use. Sanchez Casal has a system. Bollettieri has a system. Sometimes systems can get too rigid, and I think some coaches don't like that either. It's too cookie cutter. So systems need to be flexible, and systems need to evolve. So anytime a system is stuck in the past, hasn't evolved, or anytime a system is very flexible, like they force all the kids to play a certain way or with a certain technique, that's where systems become dangerous. And that's probably why some coaches don't like to use that terminology too much, you know. So I don't know if that helps, Jerry. Let me know if you have a follow-up, but you know, like I have a method for teaching techniques, so I've been calling it the Lewitt Method. You could call it a system, but I think it's a system that has to be flexible and has to have broad parameters and allow for individual learning styles and things like that. But it is my system. It's my methodology. It's the way that I teach, it's helpful for people to learn. If you want to teach other people your style, your method, you have to sort of break it down into a structured way so people can try to understand it. Anyway, I don't know if that helps, but okay. D on Tennis Swimming is watching. Thanks for waving. Bill Mountford is watching. Bill, nice to have you on the program. Another tennis dad. Cool, man. We have a lot of superstars tuning in tonight. Awesome. Bill, if you have a tennis question, let me know. It's my Sunday night program every Sunday night at 9:30. I'm talking tennis and sharing my thoughts from a week of teaching and answering any tennis questions. We got viewers from around the world and trying to help people build their tennis wisdom Okay, who do we else? Oh, Robert Garrett's jumping in with a question. Robert says, we had Mario on the Pairs and Players podcast. He goes deep into detail about developing Gerald Donaldson. Go check it out. Yeah, actually, Robert, that is my reference point for Mario and what he did with Jared. I listened to that podcast. I think I listened to it twice because I found it so fascinating that Mario's not the most famous coach in the country, but man, what an incredible job he's done, and I think he deserves more recognition for that. And I want people to realize how difficult it is to develop a top 50 player coming out of Rhode Island, or any decent player. Mario's also had some top juniors like an Orange Bowl champion. You know how hard it is to get an Orange Bowl champion out of a small geographic area? It says something about the coach. The coach is doing something special. It's not an accident when you can do that a few times. So I'm giving a lot of credit to Mario, and I know how hard it is because I'm here in New York trying to do the same thing, and I don't have an Orange Bowl champion to my credit yet. You know, I've had some kids do well, but I'm waiting for my first gold ball and big ITF junior winner. So Mario, I'm so jealous of you, man, with Gerald Donaldson, top 50, and then Orange Bowl champ. That is good stuff. And if you can do that more than once, it says something about your ability. Any coach can probably get lucky here or there. Maybe if you're a good recruiter, you can recruit the talent. But when you see a coach consistently developing top players over time, it says something about their system. I'm just going to use the word system, Jerry. It says something about their method. It says something about their passion and motivation. They're doing something right to seek out and develop talent in that geographic region. It's very difficult to do, to find, to go to a small town or a city. I'm in New York City, so we have a lot of players here, but we also have a lot of competition. In some ways, when you're on your own in a small place, small pond, sometimes in a way it can be an advantage because there's no competition and you can just sort of grab the best athletes and develop them. I know that from Vermont because I have a little boy that I'm working with in Vermont, and I think he's going to be a superstar. His name is Boone. His name is Boone Parsons. Remember that name, Boone Parsons. Maybe future #1 in New England, and got to get him out in the national circuit and see what he can do. But so he's basically working with me once a month when I come up there, and there's not even another serious high-performance coach within hours from there. So I'm going to be his primary coach for a while because there's no one else even around. There's no competition. So that's an example where being in a small community can be an advantage. But in general, it's better to be where the population centers are, I think, just in terms of statistical odds. And it's better to be in a place like Florida or California where those areas are such tennis hotbeds. New York's not bad. We have a lot of people who love tennis in New York, so New York's not a bad place to be, but it's really tough to develop here because of the costs of court time, and most of the folks here end up moving down to Florida. I've had some really talented kids who maybe they could have been, you know, my first gold ball winner, but they left. They got recruited and they went down to Florida, get a condo down there, get a house down there, can live the academy dream down there. So that's happened to me quite frequently, actually. Okay, we've got some new people signing in. Jeremy says thumbs up. Thank you, Jeremy. I don't know if that made sense. Try that extension before you wrap and do the inverted follow through. I can show that on the video. Maybe we'll do a YouTube video about that, but that's really been key for me, and that's the key straight from Spain, straight from Luis Bruguera, my mentor of many years, is the finish is out in front and up, and the follow through can vary. It can be wrapped low, it can be inverted, it can be around the head like Rafa, it can be hooked, so it can be many different heights. The follow through can be many different heights. There can be many variations of follow through, but the finish should always be relatively up with good lift and extension. That comes from my study with Luis Bruguera. He always stressed that. He's really big on that extension, as many top coaches are. Robert Lansdorp also comes to mind as another coach who stresses extension through the impact. Very important technical principle to teach young kids. Victoria Brimer Crane says, Victoria, thanks for sharing. I think you're a new viewer on the program, but in any event, I will try to answer your question or comment. One thing I think about inverted finish is it requires lots of racket head speed. No, it doesn't. It doesn't require any racket head speed. What I'm talking about is, yes, at the high level, you see that inversion because it's part of the deceleration phase of a high velocity swing. I think that's what you're saying. But I'm talking about teaching that shape to little kids and getting that wired into the muscle memory, building that motor program at a very young age, the shape, the parabolic shape, parabolic swing path, and the inverted finish. The other reason for the inverted finish is because I want the forearm muscles very relaxed through the impact and through that whole windshield wiper phase of the deceleration and follow through. And I want those muscles relaxed because I want to start to develop racket speed and a whippy swing, even at a young age, at a relatively young age. I want the players to start moving the racket head quickly. So that goes to your point about acceleration and racket speed. I want racket speed, but you can teach that swing path and that finish and that follow through. Be careful with my semantics here. Whatever you want to call it, finish or follow through, the low inverted follow through. You can teach that shape at a very low speed. I'm talking about low speed training here. Low speed, controlled shape building, muscle memory building, motor programming, myelination, so that when the kids do start to swing faster as they get bigger and stronger, it's locked in and you don't have to reteach it or update it or add any amendations to it. It's there. It's ready for you to go when the kids start accelerating the way I think you're referencing. All right, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have a follow-up. Jeremy says, maybe you're buddies with Victoria. I can help you with your racket speed. Okay. Angel Lopez is watching. Angel, good friend. Well, old workshop friend from California. Angel is a legend in California. Thanks for waving, Angel. Appreciate it. Let me know if you have any tennis questions, buddy. Maybe we should be asking you the questions. But if you have any thoughts on tennis that you want to share with the group, let me know. We have a high IQ tennis learning community on this program. I can testify to that. Okay, Dave Kaufman is watching. That sounds like another old friend. Dave, thanks for watching. Thanks for waving. Thanks for joining our high IQ tennis learning community, where the intelligent mind goes for tennis talk. Chris Lewitt Sunday night tennis program. Robert Garrett says, I'm in Mississippi. Mississippi, okay. Down in the South. I like it. Robert Garrett says, Scott is in Kentucky. Robert Garrett, I'm going to plug his show, his podcast, Payers and Players. It's a fantastic newer podcast. Guys, if you're into junior tennis and technical development, highly recommend that show. It's a good one. Robert Garrett says, congrats on passing your first responder exam last week. Yes, I am so happy this week. Nothing can bring me down. No hater can bring me down. No flamer can affect me because I'm so thrilled that I passed my EMT exam. I'm licensed now. Well, I have to get my license with the state, my official card with New Jersey and New York and Vermont, but I'm nationally certified now. It's been a year of study, basically, because I had to do the the course, and then I've been volunteering at my local city ambulance. I volunteer for the city of Hoboken, New Jersey, on the ambulance. I'm a driver, and now I'm EMT for the city. And I've been building up all this experience, and I had to take the big national exam, and I felt it was quite difficult. So I was super nervous, and I really thought that I failed. It was a really tough test, and I was like, man, I told my wife, I said, I can't believe it. 1 year study, I didn't pass, I'm a loser. And then I got the online report that I did it. I became a real EMT. It's like a very exciting moment in my life to get that accomplishment. So thank you so much for reminding me that I need to be thankful and grateful for that all week, no matter what comes my way. I'm actually working on the ambulance tomorrow, so if anyone tries to email me or text me, I'd probably be slow to respond tomorrow. I'm serving the community of Hoboken tomorrow, driving that ambulance, helping people with any kind of emergencies. It's kind of fun to drive the ambulance, and you see the traffic part in front of you like the sea in the Bible. The waves just part, and you can make your way to the hospital. Okay, do we have any more tennis questions tonight? Did I get off on a tangent there? I'm sorry. So happy. By the way, a good thing to have for tennis coaches: EMT training, emergency first aid, and medical care. Very good to have as a tennis coach. If you run a camp, I run a summer camp with children. We have 20 to 30 kids in my summer camp in Vermont. And that's one of the reasons why I studied for this certification. And also just for any tennis coaches around, either seniors at the club, adults, or children, not a bad certification to pursue. There's an EMR certification, Emergency First Responder, and there's an EMT certification. EMT is more significant amount of study, but there's also an EMR that is fewer hours, so that could be an option for tennis coaches. EMR and EMT, I believe those are the two designations. And then coming next is paramedic school. I want to work towards becoming a paramedic, a volunteer paramedic. That's an additional year or two of study. It's going to take me some time, but I actually would like to do that, and I would like to help more substantially in the community of Hoboken. Hoboken's a great community to work in. Anyway, okay. Let's see, a few more questions before I got to go night-night. What do we got, guys? Jerry says, okay. Does the system define strokes, strategy, tactics? Now that I completely agree with styles really do need to be flexible. Yeah, most coaches are down on systems because they feel like it's too rigid. I think a system needs to evolve and be relatively flexible. Coaches can't get stuck in a dogma or stuck in a system, and then their mind becomes inframed by that. So that's what I would say. It can be strokes, so that you can have a technical system, or it could be a tactical system, or it could be just a player development system. Countries have a player development system. Most federations have a player development system, and that is a coaching philosophy and a practice methodology and a way to progress players to a world-class level. So that's another example of a system, a federation. USDA has a system. The French Federation has a system. The Spanish Federation has a loose system, and then you can have a system in a country, like a style of training that's similar across many different academies and coaches across the country. So you can have sort of a loosely based methodology. For lack of a better word, I say system, but I understand your concerns about the word. Jim Kane says, Jill Krabas was from Providence, Rhode Island. She did pretty well. I did not know that Jill was from Providence. Those have to be the only two professional players from Rhode Island in recent history. It's amazing. From a small area, anyone from New England going pro is anyone from the Northeast, New York and New England combined. It's pretty rare. We have Noah Rubin. We have a few other pros from New Jersey, like Justin Gimelstob is one that comes to mind. There's a few female pros on tour from New York. We have couples on the tip of my tongue. Sorry, the couple female players that I know of that are on WTA slipped my mind at the moment, from Westchester, New York, and it's just rare. Sometimes those players were born here, but they usually go south to train. They usually go to Florida, California sometimes. Florida is the place to go. Florida is tennis paradise. It's such a popular sport in Florida. Tennis is so big in Florida. And there's a lot of good coaches down there and good academies, and you can train for cheap. You can train for cheap. Okay, Lucas Biondi is watching. What's up, Lucas? Let me know how you're doing, buddy. Are you still playing? I always ask you that. I want to know. Why aren't you texting me? Jim Kane says Jill Krabos did pretty well. Yeah, she's a really good player. I know her game. And Gerald Donaldson, amazing story out of Rhode Island. Guys, do we have any more technical questions? Do you want me to go for a third time to my racket and demonstrate something? This is a very exciting day on the program. Exciting night where I went to demonstrate with my stick 2 times, demonstrated technique, and I propped up my phone like this. Yeah. Propped up my phone on the Advent candles. Guys, if you have a few questions before I go, let me know. Jason Byam is jumping into the pool, sharing some questions, sharing maybe a comment with our high IQ tennis community. Jason says, what percentage of time should be spent playing practice matches as opposed to private lessons, group lessons, and drilling? I'm having a hard time getting my players to play practice matches. Jason, what part of the country are you in? Let me know. I think playing practice matches is really important, and a lot of top development coaches, I think, will stress that as well. So try to get them playing more sets. I really think that's important. It can be hard sometimes to set up sets if you're from a part of the country that has expensive court time, or like here in New York City, it's just hard logistically to get around because there's so much traffic, and a lot of kids aren't playing sets with each other anymore. Maybe they're on their phones too much. But if you can set up matches, if you can play a set a day in the afternoon, it's awesome. That's typically an academy schedule. They'll do drills and training in the morning, and then in the afternoon will be set play. You could do that every afternoon. It'd be fantastic. So I'm a big believer in that, getting kids accustomed to playing more sets, because when they play a big tournament, they have to be ready to play a lot of sets. And if the kids are just playing some baseline points out of the hand, or maybe a tiebreaker here and there, it's just not enough to really train them physically and mentally for competition. So I would definitely agree with you to try to get the kids playing more sets. But at the same time, depends on their developmental level. Some kids need drilling. They need to work on technique, so it's a balance. Yeah, so if you're in upstate New York and court time is at a premium, it's really hard to get kids to play matches. You have to do it in spring, summer, fall. And in winter, you have to hustle. Sometimes you can... What a lot of kids do in this area is they play tournaments for their sets. Like they'll just play every weekend or many weekends to get some set play, and they will do more group training and hitting during the week. I don't like that schedule so much. If you can get the court time, try to get them to play. Some kids don't like to play each other. Some I'm generalizing, but stereotyping a little bit, but sometimes female players don't want to play too much with each other. In that case, depending on the player, every player is different, but have them play sets with a paid college hitter. Just set it up as a pay. That's what I would do. You get a good college player for $20 or $30 cash, and you have that player play with your player on their schedule. You set it up, and that can be their practice set play. And I think it's really good. Sometimes it can be better quality than playing with other kids. Sometimes you just can't. Kids are busy nowadays. You know, they have a lot of after-school activities. They're very heavily scheduled, more so than in the past. So when you constantly say to students, hey, why don't you set up a match with so-and-so? Why don't you play with another kid? That's sometimes a big ask. It's not going to happen. You can make it more realistic if you set it up with a paid hitter. And that person can be on the student's schedule, and it can work out logistically. So that's what I recommend, getting some college kids to sub in and pay them some cash. And then you'll get your kids playing a lot more matches that way. If you try to have them set it up with each other, it almost never works. And it's not reliable, it's not consistent. You got to set it up with a college hitter. That's what I would recommend. My best advice. There was one other thought that I had in mind. Did anyone have any tactical questions? I'm going to throw it out there again because I brought up this topic on another show. It's getting late, but I'm going to throw it out there. Has anyone been following? Oh, one more thing, Jason, before I get on that new topic, is you can also have the college hitters doing some different styles. Like they can play some different styles. Like they could be like a pusher one day. Frank Giampaolo recommends this, and I think Frank's really smart. Guys, check out Neuropriming. Check out Neuropriming, Frank's new book on mental rehearsal. Really good for players, especially players who are not so great mentally and emotionally. And I also recommend Frank's books. The guy's so prolific. Tennis Parents Bible. A lot of good work. I'm going to be stocking up on Frank's work this holiday and trying to read as much as I can. The guy's doing a great job. Anyway, my point is that the college player can mix different strategies. You can have them play aggressive one day. You can have them play like a pusher, and then you can really work on that with your players, and they can get exposed to some different styles rather than playing the same college hitter all the time. Let's see what Spencer says. I got my buddy Spencer chiming in here. Spencer, that's a very professional Facebook photo of you in a suit and tie. You look like a winner there. I don't know what the deal is with the suit and tie. Where's the tennis clothes, man? Are you going corporate on me? Let's see what Spencer said. He said, agreed on paying for college players. Very good strategy for juniors. Sorry, maybe missed this earlier. How much do you stress the non-dominant hand when coaching? Seen this more and more in coaching to help turn the shoulders and set the angle of the racket and stay relaxed. I don't know if it helps the relaxation, Spencer, but here I go. I'm going to my Racquet Demo. Third time on the program tonight. This is huge for the program. Here we go. Setting up the phone on the Advent candles. Are you guys ready for this? Okay. Non-dominant hand. It should look something like this. Parallel to the ground. Not like this weird stuff. I have some students doing a lot of funky stuff. No. Here, and then it comes out like you're elbowing someone you don't like. I think one of Jeff Salzenstein's tips, elbow the enemy. That's a good tip. What can I say, Jeff? Very good tip. I don't like tips, but that's a good one. So your elbow comes around, and typically you see the hand finish here at the end. So there's the left arm is facilitating the rotation. I was just working on this today with some players. And some kids have a floppy left arm. If you see my reality show today, I worked on it with one of my players where his arm was kind of floppy and limp. So it's actually not facilitating the rotation of the trunk. The left arm should be, I like it straight out. Some players have it in here. There's some different variations about where it should be. Some coaches like it straight. Some coaches like it a little bent. Some coaches like it, the left arm to assist the racket in the unit turn. So there's a few variations there. But bottom line is, as the right arm is coming through, accelerating, the left arm is moving across the body and helping the body spin. The left arm helps the body spin. And then you lock it in here, and then the racket finishes or follows through here, or maybe, like I said, there's different variety of follow-throughs. Typically, you see the left arm about here, an elbow coming back. This is a huge moment on the program where I have demonstrated 3 times with my racket. I know Robert Garrett would be very proud of me, and he would be very proud of me, especially how I propped up my phone on the Advent candles. I just didn't go with the tripod, Robert. I just couldn't do tripod, but now I have the Advent candles set up. We're good to go with racket demonstrations from now on. All right, yeah, Michael, hat trick. That's right. Okay, Jason Byam, I really appreciate your support. It's great to have your questions, and it's great to have you part of this community. I'm glad you like this show. You know what we're doing that's cool with this show is, as the courses roll out in the digital school, I expect the students in my digital school to log in to this show, tune in, and they can help also share ideas and ask questions, and I can help those folks with their tennis and their technique and everything they're working on. We'll have some tactical courses too, but this will be the venue where my students online can ask their questions and get access to me live. So it won't just be a show for the general public, it'll also be a show for my online students in the school. And I think that's going to work out just great. I'm excited about that synergy. And also, I'm going to be available via email. I know Michael's really worried about it. He thinks I'm going to be overloaded, but I want to be a professor who is available, who you can, if you're a student in my school online, you can reach out and ask me questions. I need to have that dynamic available. I have to have it that way. I don't want to have an online school with online courses that are detached from the professor, the master coach. I want people to have access to me somehow, and I need it to be cheap. I don't want it to be really expensive. I'm trying to offer this, Jerry, I'm going to say system or methodology or my approach to the game, my philosophy. I want to offer all this knowledge at an inexpensive price so it's accessible to lots and lots of people. So I'm trying to figure out this dynamic. How do I make all this good information accessible, low cost, like around $100 or maybe $150 for a course that took us more time to produce, but not that much money. And then the key is having an interaction and having me accessible to the students in the online school. That to me is the key. That's what makes the school great. More than anything, more than just a video, because videos give you information, but they're not going to be the answer for people. There has to be follow-up with the professor, I think. And that's what all these online gurus, they don't do very well. To me, it's almost a scam. You get all this great information, but you can't take it and apply it on the court without help. That has to be help from the master coach, from the professor, from the guru. The guru has to provide that. So I don't know how you can just offer an online course without some way to connect with the master coach. There has to be that. Okay. We're going to get to the end of the program here, guys. It's getting late, and I've got a big shift on the ambulance coming up in the morning. Jim Kane says, I see Emilio Sanchez will be at the PTR Tennis Symposium in February. What do you think he may address in regards to a highlight of his system, a disciple of Pato Alvarez? I think that's what you're getting at. Emilio Sanchez was Pato Alvarez's student, and much of his system is based on his time with Pato Alvarez, and Pato helped design the Sanchez-Casal system. Pato Alvarez is a very famous Spanish coach, legendary Spanish coach, older Spanish coach, probably in his 70s, maybe 80s, getting up there in age. He's a legend in Spain. Anyway, Emilio's going to the PTR Tennis Symposium. That's probably why I wasn't invited to speak this year. Because Emilio's the man. He's very good. And he has a system from Spain. That's his particular system, his specific system. And there are other systems in Spain, other methodologies. So Luis Bruguera has the Bruguera method. Emilio Sanchez has the Sanchez-Casal 360 system. It basically describes how they develop players, what progressions they use when they're teaching, their technical parameters, their tactical approach, things like that. That's their player development system. Most academies have a philosophy, and for lack of a better word, system, how they progress players along to get them to a high level, world-class level. So I think I missed someone's question. Guys, sometimes I miss questions on the board, and I actually will check the comments later, either tonight or tomorrow, and I will go through and answer all the questions personally, any extra questions that I missed. Kavita Sutar is watching. Thank you, Kavita, for watching. Thanks for supporting the program. I hope you enjoyed. I think I will just check here. Did I miss any other questions? Brian Ha is watching. Thank you for waving, Brian. Sammy Madison, thank you for waving. I think that's my cousin down in Florida. Are you in Florida, Sammy? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Emilio Berdini is watching. Thanks for waving. Appreciate it, guys. We're getting a great show going here. And every Sunday night, I invite you to tune in, tell your friends. Thanks for sharing the program with other tennis enthusiasts. Try to share the program with intelligent, high IQ tennis learners, because that's what we're looking for on this program. We're looking for intelligent conversation and Q&A, not... Sorry, that alarm must mean it's getting late. Yeah, we're looking for intelligent tennis enthusiasts. So let your friends know. If you like the program, please give me a thumbs up. Please share with your friends. And please subscribe on our YouTube channel. All these shows get archived on YouTube. So please go there to youtube.com/Chris Lewitt. You can check out all our free programming there. We have lots of good stuff on YouTube right now. We have my reality show is on there. Chris Lewitt, Prodigy Maker. You can see me working on court, and you can follow my life and work with my reality show. I always wanted my own reality show, so I just did it. And we have lots of free instructional clips. We have videos of me on court teaching. We have a lot of good resources there for you guys. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. So join the YouTube community there. It's totally free. And also consider joining our school, clta.teachable.com. CLTA, Chris Lewitt Tennis Academy.teachable.com. We're on the Teachable platform, and we're building out our online school. Join that high IQ tennis learning community there as well. And I will see you guys on the next program. Have a great week. If you're coaching, give your students the best you can. Set the highest standards and demand from your students great technique. You can do it. Teach that parabolic swing. Don't be afraid to teach the open stance, modern techniques to young children if you work with kids. And don't forget, adults can learn all that stuff too. Adults can learn modern technique. And have a great week of training. Bring your best energy to the court with your students. And if you're a player, train hard. Try to outwork anyone else in the world. Try to outwork all those other players who are trying to work their way up the rankings ladder. If you outwork everyone else, you're going to get better results. Have a great night. God bless. I'll see you on the next program.